This is a test donation for CA dollar.
Hello, and welcome back to The Open Debate. I hope everybody's been having a good day today. Welcome back to the one and only place on YouTube that you can freely express yourself without any feeling of shame or repercussion in the chat below. Please feel like this place can be somewhere that you feel free to express yourself in whatever manner you would like, whether that be good, bad, or indifferent. I'd like to hear your opinion, how you feel about a situation, whether you're angry, whether you're happy, whether it makes you feel good, bad, sad, or indifferent. That's what this channel's all about. So, tonight, I would like to discuss something that has been on my mind. This will probably be the first of many streams that I do with this situation. This is something that I have not looked into as much as I should have, and therefore I, as many other situations, would like to sit here with you and go through the information, try to figure out where I stand and what I believe and the information that I can find. And I'd like to do that with you guys here as a community. So, excuse me. Wow. Coming in all rude right away. So, I'd like to get together with us as a community and go through information and make these streams a sort of community event where we can get together and learn and research as we go. Therefore, I'll just jump into the topic of this evening. What we're going to be discussing is whether or not President Donald Trump will continue to be President Donald Trump after the 2020 elections. I've heard various different opinions from certain individuals that I know personally, and I haven't fully looked into it myself, and therefore I figured I should start looking into it. And who better to look into it with than the community of individuals who have chosen to come together and enlighten themselves and grow and become better individuals with me here on The Open Debate. So tonight, to get everything started, to get a groundwork from where at least I'm coming from, we will begin by taking a look at the reactions of the media and individuals following the elections of 2016 when Donald Trump first became president of the United States. I know that may be hard for some people to say or to hear, but yes, it's true. Donald Trump, the man who was on The Apprentice, is now the president of the United States of America. So, I've stated this before, but for the basis of this video and for relative information, I will state it again. So, what I saw during the 2016 elections was something that really changed my perspective of the way media works and how I was taking in information. So, I would say, apologies for the sniffles, by the way, guys. It's pretty cold up here. Weather's been changing quite a bit. I have a little bit of a cold, but it will go away soon. Excuse me. In 2015, I was 100%, hello there. In 2015, I was, sorry, respond to the chat, got too eager. Guys, this is kind of like a difficult thing even to talk about to start off, but it's good to be open, and it's good to feel as though this is a place that you can discuss how you feel. And so I'm going to start this off by saying I was never very political or very into the world of politics. Even now, I'm interested in politics and I'm interested in the way that the entire environment works, but I still have an outside perspective where I don't trust politicians. Obviously, their entire motive, from at least what I've seen, is to manipulate the public in order to achieve a goal, or to just simply achieve a goal. If you would like to get something accomplished in a certain area, it may be beneficial in one certain area, but it may not be in another. But that is not, those consequences are not for you to be thinking about as a politician, and they manipulate individuals into agreeing with certain things that may not be overall good for the population or for a community. And so I've always had a sort of biased, I could say biased opinion of the media and of politics. I've always been leery. You could call me a hippie. There was a time, I spoke about this before, and I may get into it a little bit deeper in another video, but there was a time where I was on the verge of becoming a black supremacist. I didn't quite realize what the information that I was researching and the things that I was seeing. I didn't quite realize just how detrimental the information could be if you fell into that ideology. But after I eventually came out of that mindset, I looked back on some of the accounts on Instagram, on Facebook that I was following, and I realized that a lot of the things that these people were saying and the way that they were promoting their ideology, not even necessarily just the ideology itself at times could be flawed as well, but the way that they were promoting it was very, very flawed. Filled with hatred, filled with negative vibrations and negative feelings towards individuals who don't agree or don't prescribe to your narrative. And that's certainly not the way that you should conduct yourself. And so I didn't even realize that this is the way that I was becoming, because I was slowly becoming indoctrinated into these mindsets, I guess you could say, because it was constantly around me. I was living in a much more liberal area. Right now I live in Ontario, which you could say is a much more conservative province than British Columbia. British Columbia is very liberal, and the mindsets are clear to see. Like the changes are clear, but just in average people and the way that they go about their day. But that is besides the point. The point of the conversation and what I'm trying to bring up here is the fact that during the 2016 elections, or during 2015, when Donald Trump initially said that he wanted to run for presidency, I thought, hey, like, yo, Donald Trump, the guy who's on The Apprentice, you're fired, that guy, right? I did not have a good opinion of Donald Trump. I had seen a few documentaries, maybe one before the entire debacle, and I had seen him on The Apprentice, but I really did not like the show. I just didn't like the guy. I thought he was kind of an asshole, kind of a jerk. Not a figure that should be representing the United States as a whole. But I had never seen him be overtly racist, or I'd never even seen him being promoted as racist or homophobic or anything negative in that light. And as soon as he ran for the presidency, everybody started pulling up saying, okay, like going off the rails. It was almost to the point where you were confused to the fact of how you could not have seen this before. How did I not know that, like, Donald Trump, he's pretty much a KKK member. He's so racist and sexist and homophobic, and he hates everybody except for white people. Like, the way that the media spun the narrative was so biased that it showed, I think, a lot of different people that I take long pauses, but it's because I'm trying to think about the best way to phrase what I'm trying to say. I think that it showed a lot of people that the media spins a narrative in a certain direction, not necessarily one political way or another, but in a narrative that they feel as though the average individual will gravitate towards and attach to. But that's not necessarily the best way to conduct reporting the news. From a business standpoint, this is the way they're looking at it. The more clicks that I can get, the more traction that I can get to my website, the more that I can get people to view my content, then the better it will be for me, the more money that I will make, and the better off the business will be. And therefore, they push a narrative that gets people outraged, that gets people thinking about negative situations, because that will cause more traction than saying that things are positive. Honestly, it makes me upset to think about how even now and in the future you should constantly remember that you will always be growing, but I feel almost duped as though I felt as though I was so consciously aware of what was going on around me, and yet I had never even looked into politics. And politics are something that seem trivial, that seem like, oh, why do you care so much about what's happening? But it's because these things that are happening within the political realm actually have an effect on the average individual, whether they want it to or not. If you do not have a voice within the political sphere, or you don't actively engage within elections or your community events just on a small scale, then you are not affecting the impact that is being had on even yourself. It's real world stuff, guys. As we get older, we realize there are real implications to these ideologies that people try to push. And that's why certain people get so hyped up and so overwhelmed when they're speaking about politics, because it's for them, for everybody, it is a very serious situation, and it's good to keep in mind that there are real world implications, but there are also real world implications for your actions. And if you're out there promoting violence, or if you're a prominent figure and you do something violent and that promotes or shows to other people who follow you that violence should be the appropriate way to take action if you want to get something done, that's not how you're going to make a movement succeed, in my mind, plain and simple. So yeah, guys, I wanted just to take a look at how the media initially reacted to Donald Trump being elected, and potentially why it fed into so many people waking up, because that was a very big turning point. And when I say waking up, I mean waking up to the fact that the media has been pushing a narrative, whether it be left-wing or right-wing. They're constantly pushing a narrative, and if you don't keep your eyes open and keep your ears to the streets, as they say, keep researching and doing things for yourself, finding out the information, any information that you can find on the topic, trying to find the actual root sources of the information, then you're probably being fed a narrative or told, not being told the full spectrum story. So let's just watch. We'll watch this video here and just see how Fox News was reporting it. You think that they would be decently happy? I think they may be, but you can see their faces. They look a little strange, but reporters always look a little strange, don't they, guys? Let's just get into it.
Hillary Clinton opting out of her own Election Day party, as we've been telling you, leaving her supporters there in shock as she concedes to Donald Trump by picking up the phone and calling him.
Fox News senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel is right near the Clinton headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, where the Democratic nominee is just we think that at some point she's going to address her staff and then maybe make a public announcement. Mike, did they give you any indication of her agenda today?
Well, Brian, Ainsley, Steve, good morning to you. Hillary Clinton, in the final days of the campaign, talked about the need to heal the country after this difficult election. She will get a chance to start that process a little later when she speaks. I'm told we'll get more details on timing and location when they are set. Hillary Clinton has been out of the public view since very early yesterday morning when she voted at the local school there in Chappaqua, New York. She described voting for herself as the most humbling feeling because she knows the responsibility that goes with being president. Campaign staff, supporters, and friends were all gathered at her election night event, expecting it to be a celebration and to be historic. Late night after 2 a.m., her campaign chairman sent those supporters home.
We're still counting votes, and every vote should count. Several states are too close to call, so we're not going to have anything more to say tonight. So listen to me. Everybody should head home. You should get some sleep. We'll have more to say tomorrow.
A short time later, Clinton called Trump to concede. With all the VIP surrogates from President Obama to Bruce Springsteen to LeBron James working on her behalf, this has to be a particularly stinging defeat. Ainsley, Steve, Brian?
Right, Mike, on her own, she just never got the crowd to the excitement, even with LeBron James. Mike, thank you.
Right, yeah, even with all the support, that must have been a very stinging blow, as the media said. But I believe that she probably had a good idea that she wasn't going to win, because there were many individuals reporting that she was not going to win. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He was I believe, a reporter for the Washington Post, and he got fired for reporting that Hillary Clinton apparently did not look well during her speaking tours, or during her, while she was promoting herself during the elections. That's the whole thing. There were so many situations, so many things around Hillary Clinton. It's not that America didn't want a woman president. I think that America just didn't want her as a woman president. Plain and simple. There are many women that could lead a country as long as they are great people, just the same as a man could lead a country as long as he's a great person. Doesn't matter your race or gender. As long as you're a good person and you can represent the country, you represent the values that the country stands for, and there's a little bit more to the election than that. You got to win over the people, and you got to let them know that you are going to push forth an agenda that they want to achieve. So what does the mass majority of people want from the country? And that's what you need to gauge, and that's what you need to work towards, I believe. So I said this the other night, and I'll state it again. I think that it's a strange situation where a lot of people were in this bubble where they only get news from Facebook, they only get news from Twitter and other sources like that, and therefore, when all the information that they're getting is coming from a source that's telling them one biased way or one biased piece of information, like Hillary Clinton is guaranteed to win. She has a 90% lead over Donald Trump. There's no possible way that Donald Trump could win. And you're hearing this month after month, and that's all you're hearing. This is your narrative. This is your life. This is your reality. When something else happens that contradicts that, it's so unfathomable that these people, they start to break down. They don't know what to do. Like, how could you know what to do? Because this is not the reality that you've been given. This is not what people have told you is going to happen. This is crazy. That's not what I meant to bring up, guys. Alright, so I'm going to take another look at the old world leaders reacting to Donald Trump winning the United States election. See how that goes. Make it a little bigger. But
Britain and the United States are and will remain strong and close partners on trade, security and defence. We have a long-standing and enduring special relationship which is built on our shared values of freedom, of democracy and enterprise.
We're not particularly surprised because the political class is reviled, across much of the West. The polling industry is bankrupt, and the press just hasn't woken up to what's going on in the world. So, 2016 is, by the looks of it, going to be the year of two great political revolutions. I thought Brexit was big, but boy, this looks like it's going to be even bigger.
It will not be easy because during the election campaign we heard some elements of protectionism, also some worrying words about women, about minorities. But my experience is also that election campaigns are different from the real politics during a term of a president, and so I hope that we will get back to a rational cooperation.
Мы слышали предвыборные заявления еще кандидата в президенты Соединенных Штатов, которые были направлены на восстановление отношений между Россией и Соединенными Штатами. Мы понимаем и отдаем себе отчет в том, что это будет непростой путь с учетом той деградации, в которой, к сожалению, находятся отношения между США и Россией.
So really, it just kind of said, like, the world leader reactions were overall pretty positive, other than the United Nations stating that his run was somewhat sexist and racist or something. But, like, in all honesty, I would say that it was more disgraceful. It was more things about Donald Trump that I don't like and why I don't think that he should represent the United States. Perhaps because I do not believe, represents the average American citizen. And if he does, that's not the greatest sign, because he's very arrogant. He's a very stereotypical American. That I don't want to get into too many rude or negative things or negative stereotypes here, or like just like start comparing other people or races or genders or anything like that, or anything. But it's a very stereotypical American way of being if Donald Trump is the way that is supposed to represent the average American. And I do not believe that his personality or the way that he conducts his behavior really does represent the average American. But I think that the goals that he's trying to achieve, and perhaps the way that he's going about trying to achieve those goals, does represent the average American. And those are two different things. So your attitude can be completely different than the goal that you're trying to achieve. You and I could both be trying to get to a certain destination, and I could be an asshole and you could be an amazing person, but we're still trying to get to the same end goal. And as long as we agree on that, if we work together, we'll get there. And that's what I kind of see. Let's go with another one, boys and girls. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments.
As we mentioned in the Talking Points memo, there was much media hysteria on display last night during the election coverage.
There is an underlying racism that we can't get away from that is a big part of this story. And also questions about can a woman be president of the United States right now? But the underlying racism, that was the theme, the idea of nativism, the idea of walling ourselves off in this country. This is now going to become policy in some ways.
And joining us now from Miami, the purveyor, BernardGoldberg.com, Mr. Goldberg. So give me your assessment of the media landscape.
Well,
that soundbite from Carl Bernstein and a lot of the others that you played in the talking points, these are liberal commentators and analysts. And there's a tendency among liberal elites to see America through a dark lens. They often see racism and sexism, sometimes where it exists, and very often
we're not going to sit through this guy sitting here and talking. I'm pretty sure for the next, yeah, right? They're just going to discuss Trump, and that's another thing. So everybody will sit there and they'll analyzing media's reaction to Trump, but that's just giving Trump more credibility and more promotion for the people that do already support him and the people that may not have had a full idea of what he was all about. And the people that are into actively researching for themselves, they'll go and they will look at his speeches, they'll see what he said. Now that they see more and more people talking about him, that's just giving him more and more promotion. And that's one of the things that helped him become president, I think, in my eyes. So the question that we have throughout the night and that we're trying to answer is, will he win the elections in 2020? Right? That's what I will. This is going to be an ongoing stream. So I'm going to be researching and looking into it and giving my opinion up until the elections. We'll just be going doing it every now and then. It'll pop up every now and then, and you will be engaged in the conversation if that's what you want to be engaged in. If this is the type of thing that you like, make sure you hit that subscribe button, maybe the notification bell, so that you get the notifications for the new live streams every time I go live. I try to give at least an hour's notice, but sometimes it's sporadic and out of nowhere. I will just go live if I feel like there is something that needs to be said. And so, with that being said, let's kind of just jump into the reaction of individuals. So this is how the media was reacting. The media was saying pretty much like, this is, I know I didn't pull up, there's certain things like Rachel Maddow's the classic. I'll pull that up right now. Rachel Maddow. What, Trump meltdown? She just went crazy. And I'm sure that everybody's seen it. Pull it up for like 2 seconds. The thing is, these certain individuals that are so set in their ideology, the way that they speak and the way that they talk down to people, they don't even talk. They speak as though they're talking down to. They speak as though they're not even speaking to the audience that agrees with them, although all they're saying are things that only people that agree with them would listen to. But they're speaking as though they're talking to the opponent and they're speaking down to them. And it does not put you on their side. It does not make you want to listen to them. It really makes you upset. But that's also a tactic to get you to talk about it like I am right now. Right? Look at this. I have my own YouTube show here where we discuss different issues, and right now I have a big screen on my screen right now. You guys can all see it. The Rachel Maddow Show. I'm promoting that because it's made me a little upset. She got under my skin. She triggered me.
Hot off the presses, we are breaking this news right here, right now. You're going to think I'm kidding, but the presidential race appears to be tied in South Carolina. Yes, I said South Carolina, not North Carolina. South Carolina. And maybe we should have seen this coming a couple weeks ago. South Carolina Democrats hired PPP to do a presidential poll in South Carolina. They came up with an unexpectedly close result. Again, this was a couple of weeks ago, South Carolina, PPP. This is a poll commissioned by the South Carolina Democratic Party. They found Trump leading in South Carolina, but only by 2 points, 41 to 39. That's what the other minor candidates included. Well, now we can exclusively report tonight that brand new polling from the Feldman Group, new polling that we're reporting for the first time tonight, shows that the race between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in South Carolina is not only close, it is literally tied at 39-39. That is in a four-way race with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and the minor candidates from the Libertarian and Green parties. 39-39 Trump-Clinton. If you make it head-to-head, if you exclude the minor party candidates, instead just have it be Trump versus Clinton.
I beyond apologize for making you guys sit through that for at least 15 to 30 seconds. That almost made my ears bleed. Let's just get to the clip that I was trying to play.
You're awake, by the way. You're not having a terrible, terrible dream. Also, you're not dead and you haven't gone to hell. This is your life now. This is our election now. This is us. This is our country. It's real.
Believer, it's real. And it's been real for the past 2 years. Will it be real for the next, whoa, 2? It's almost been 4. That's crazy, guys. Whew. It's been real. It's going to be real. It's going to continue to be real. Is it going to continue to be real? That's what we're trying to figure out. So basically what I was going back to is I was trying to pull up, but seemed to be having quite a lot of difficulty here. I was trying to pull up some videos of how individuals were reacting. Oh, I guess it kind of popped off for a sec. Lost the stream. Came back. Alright, guys. I was trying to figure out what individuals were doing and how individuals were feeling about the elections during the time of this. Because it's always interesting to look back on how everything was going on. Like, what was going on during that time. So, sure. Anti-Trump protests erupt following tense election night. Let's watch this, guys.
First of all, the wall must fall. First of all, the wall must fall. First of all,
Absolutely wild. Yeah. People were just going crazy. There was protests everywhere. There are still protests to this day going on. But directly following the elections, things were kind of hyped up, which was not good. Here's another one.
Demonstrators have taken to the streets across the US for a second day to vent their anger over Donald Trump's presidential election victory. They fear the billionaire businessman's political triumph will deal a blow to civil rights. Mostly the protests were peaceful, but police declared a riot in Portland, Oregon, as a demonstration turned violent in the northwestern city. Elsewhere, demonstrators blocked traffic in Minneapolis and Los Angeles. Denver in Colorado saw one of the largest protests. Hundreds marched in Dallas, and people again took to the streets of New York and Washington. Overall numbers at last night's protests were said to have been smaller than on Wednesday night. Again, young people dominated the crowds. The president-elect himself described them in a tweet as professional protesters incited by the media. Amid violent scenes in Portland, where several thousand people had taken to the streets, police said many in the crowd tried in vain to get anarchist groups to stop destroying property. Many of the new president's opponents fear America's values and cohesion are under threat. Donald Trump's campaign was riddled with insults and claims that were exposed as lies. But the millions who voted for him either didn't care or had other deep-rooted reasons, and he won the race to the White House democratically.
Craziness. I'm going to play a little bit of these videos. These are from a channel. If you guys don't know the channel, I'm sure that you do. Everybody that's watching, Fleckus Talks. He does a lot of in-person interviews and goes into rallies and discusses certain political issues with the people that are out there protesting and tries to figure out what they're out there doing, what their mindset is. And these are some of his earlier videos during the time following the elections, and those were some of the most influential or powerful interviews that he conducted, because it really showed the mindset of where people were at and how some people were falling into a false narrative being driven and had no idea of any actual facts or information. They were just espousing the same narrative that was being driven to them. It's just absolutely wild. So we won't watch the entire video, but we'll watch pieces of it.
More taxes. Is no more taxes really the answer?
I guess.
What are we protesting here today?
Everything he does. Everything he does.
We're just anti-Trump altogether. He doesn't belong in the White House. Neither does any of the people that he hired. They're all racist and they're corrupt and they're stealing money off the backs of American workers.
Very cool. Who'd you guys vote for?
I actually...
If Trump wants to be the world leader that he continuously says he is, then everyone has the right to know.
I'm not running to be president of the world. I'm running to be president of the United States of America.
What does Antifa think about all this?
It's not a full fascist program yet, but once he gets his hands up, Hitler didn't start out on day one and was like, all right, I've got camps.
This is the fucking Game of Thrones of our lifetime. The wildlings need to go with the northerners.
Literally talking about a TV show. That's crazy.
I feel like he's covered up most of that stuff with money.
Which hate crimes?
Well, for example, I'll tell you one example I know for sure. One of my
Tune in, drop out. What's going on, buddy? There it goes. Pops up on screen. That's actually pretty cool that it pops up on screen still for the super chat. But I paused everything to do the old classic spiel here, as I have done in the past. If you're going to donate, I have a link in the description below. I'll post it right now through the link below. The donation will pop up on screen, but it will also read out your donation. It will look exactly like this. I'll give you a little demonstration because that's the way Streamlabs works. It would be the same as what happened, but
this is a test donation for $CA.
Instead of saying that, it would read out your message, and therefore you can donate a lot less and have your voice being said on the stream. And I think that it gets everybody it's a very interactive way to have everybody speak their mind and say what they want to say and get their point across. I really do appreciate your donation, but if you would like to retract the donation, if you'd like to charge that back, and feel free to donate through Streamlabs if you'd like, but if not, that's fine. But if you want to charge that back, that's completely okay with me, because YouTube takes the money, guys. So don't give your money to YouTube. Plain and simple, right?
My friends, he works at a Subway, he's the manager. There was a kid that came in. This isn't a hate crime, this is racism. It's just a normal kid came in. And
sorry, I'm not going to scam the donation here. So Tune In Dropout said, I think Bernie is the only declared candidate who could give Trump any trouble, but unless Trump gets a war, he should still win. I think that perhaps if Trump gets the United States in a war, that he may win even more. That's a pretty big, who knows, depending on the situation, but he may lose. And I'm not 100% sure with Bernie Sanders, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Bernie kind of dropped the ball during the last election by not standing up for himself. He kind of showed that he has no backbone. He has no balls. How's he going to stand up for the country if he couldn't even stand up for himself against Hillary Clinton? It's kind of weak in my mind, or in my eyes, personally.
And he gave him a sandwich and everything. And afterwards, the kid called him a beaner. And it's just like, why on earth?
If we want any progress at all, like in human understanding, in like just what we
for 25 years. It's easy to say we're a nation of laws, but remember, the United States has no respect for any nation of laws other than their own.
What would happen if I crossed the border to Mexico?
So
This is one of Flecka's first videos, perhaps even his first. It was at the when Trump initially did the quote-unquote Muslim ban, and these were protesters at LAX. This was something that when I first saw this, it really put into perspective how far gone the left had become. Give it a watch, give it a listen, let me know what you guys think.
Hey guys, it's Fleckus. We're here again, Tom Bradley International Airport, LAX, where it all started just a few months ago. Happy to report, new outfit. Pretty good. What are we protesting today?
Everything.
Tell me something though.
Sexism, misogyny, Trump, Pence, the American government, capitalism, the patriarchy, everything.
We're protesting the bans that are going on and the really ugly rhetoric about illegals and terrorists coming in with refugees or whatever.
When you talk about the Muslim ban, what are you referring to?
The sanction and the grouping of different countries that Trump has put together so that...
Obama put that together.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
It's a really kind of absurd notion that like Muslims are going to come in en masse and like force us to wear burqas. Like it's stupid. It's like a fantasy that people want to like play into. Because
there was a case in Michigan where there was genital mutilation.
No, genital mutilation has actually happened. Like you have
That's part of Sharia law. It is.
I can't.
Trust me.
I can't attest to it either way because I haven't read the Quran.
Got it. All right, very cool. Who am I here with?
I'm just going to say anonymous.
Anonymous. And if you guys remember, we spoke to her a few months back in February.
Irregardless, that's not fair to say.
Irregardless is not a word. You were anonymous then as well, remember?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, welcome back.
One of the other protesters was telling me that it's actually against the Constitution for America not to accept other people who are being persecuted in their land.
Well, in the Constitution as well, there's a clause that allows the president to decide which people can be excluded from being allowed to come into the U.S., whether or not their background and beliefs are detrimental to our society.
Right. Yeah.
I think the stream just dropped out for a minute, guys. I didn't even notice what happened there. That was kind of strange. Don't know if it was the internet. Perhaps there's a storm rolling in. Or maybe it was some ghosts. I'm not too sure. But for everybody who stuck around, thank you for sticking around. I'm gonna just let me know. Well, this is a long video, and I'm glad that I guess you guys didn't see what was going on there because I don't want to play this entire video. I don't want to just take this dude's content. Fleckas is a very awesome dude. I've talked to him before personally, and I do support his content. If you guys don't know who he is, go on over to his channel and check it out because he has a lot of really good stuff. But here we are back. Stream health seems to be good. We're live, and I'm going to continue to play this for you, and we'll discuss just a little bit further about what's going on in the world of politics. It's not necessarily just the left. The right also has problems. Left and right politics in general. There are problems within the sphere of politics, and that's what we're talking about. What are the problems? What are the benefits? Will Trump be reelected during the 2020 elections? And as we speak, we are currently looking into the reactions that were being had during the 2016 election after Donald Trump had initially become President of the United States. So let's get back into it, guys.
I mean, ultimately what it just seems like it doesn't really seem like the government's afraid of terrorism, more as it is afraid of just the people. And I don't know, personally, I think it's more of like a classist issue than a political issue or a terrorist issue.
Do you think Sharia law is an issue?
I'm not sure what that is.
What about Europe, though? What's going on in Europe?
So many things are going on. Can you specify the question? Like, what's
The refugees leaving the war-torn countries went to Europe. Sexual assaults through the roof in all the countries they went to.
You're going to have to show me the statistics for sexual assault through the roof, because I can tell you one thing: sexual assault has always been through the roof. Sexual assault is endemic in every culture.
People that are coming from other countries that are fleeing what they're fleeing, whether they don't think that gay rights are valid or don't believe in human rights, that isn't their responsibility because they're refugees. The responsibility is on us as America to change our country.
Like, they're going to Europe right now, and we basically watched what happened, and they went to Europe. Look at the terrorist attacks. How many terrorist attacks happen in Europe that are caused by radical Islam?
Well, I'm not saying that people don't use religion and intertwine it to their crazy whatever, but what I am saying, however, is that I'm losing my train of thought. I have been screaming my lungs out for a couple hours right now. I can do a think.
Like, I have been criminalized at peaceful demonstrations, but I've also been involved in, organizing demonstrations that have gotten out of control and turned into like bad.
You may or may not have incited a few riots.
Exactly, yes. So I do cover my face for that reason.
We're telling our people to be afraid of terrorists, and we're telling our people to be afraid of radical.
That's one of the funniest things that Fleckus has probably ever done. And I don't think many people really give this as much credit as is due. He literally just got this woman to admit that she has been involved in inciting a few riots, and that's why she covers her face. What an incriminating thing to say, A, and B, that gives all of Antifa such a negative outlook or look, because that's the classic outfit. That's what they wear. That's what they all look like. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I can't tell this woman apart from the next Antifa member. So how do I know who's the one that was inciting these riots? Are they just all violent, terrible people? But yeah.
I mean, it's not a Muslim ban either. It's only 6 countries. Over 1 billion Muslims live outside of those countries. It's not just Muslims can't come in. It's like, from these 6 countries where terrorism is trained and it's a hot.
If you can all hear me, I'm not too sure what's actually happening with the stream. It keeps cutting in and out. It must just be the internet. There are some other people using the internet at the moment, so let me know in the chat. If you guys, just let me know what's happening in the chat, please. Just drop me an F if it's not online, or if everything's bad, or if you can barely hear me, or if it's cutting in and out. And if it's good, just let me know if it's good. Thank you. I trust you all will help me understand what's happening with the stream.
Bad, it's like, there's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Personally, I think that you're trying to protect us from people that are outside of our country, or people that have hurt a few amount of people. I don't think terrorism is as big as an issue as I feel like the government is trying to use terrorism as a way to kind of block and hide everything else that's going wrong. I mean, the police are terrorists to the people of America.
Black Lives Matter.
Hey guys, you guys know what's going on in Cheshire, right? Right. What do we do? We got our eyes on Cheshire. Eyes on Cheshire! Eyes on Cheshire!
I mean, ultimately, I think that to the president and to the government, that the Muslim ban and trying to keep people out of their country, what you're talking about, I don't think that's really what they're talking about. I feel like it's more of
I mean, that's exactly what he's talked about.
I think that those aren't the things they care about. I mean, there's no humanity in our government anymore.
But they're protecting us. That's where the humanity lies.
How?
Because they, the American people.
Black people?
Yeah. Anyone who's affected by terrorism.
People?
Anyone affected by terrorism.
So part of the things that are driving terrorism it's a toxic back and forth. They do obviously terrible things, but we also, as a democracy, as a society.
I just saw this in the chat, and it's actually, that was a good point. So Grandma P, How's it going there? Like that name. 9/11. How old were these kids when it happened? So the thing is, I was in grade 5 when 9/11 happened. I think that, like, I'm sure that the older generation knows exactly where and what time, what was happening when JFK died. They know where they were. They know exactly what was going on. For us, I remember exactly where I was and what was going on and what happened when 9/11 happened. I know exactly what was going on. I was in grade 5 and I was in gym class. And we got called out of gym class early and we had to go back to class. And they sat us all down and they told us there was something that was happening at the World Trade Centers in New York. And then they turned on the radio and we listened to like a broadcast of what was going on. And there was one girl in our class who had an uncle who worked at the World Trade Centers, and she just went ballistic, started going crazy. And I'll always remember that. That's something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life because it was a very dramatic event. It was something that really shaped my life. And I don't think that it does put into perspective these individuals. I'm a little bit older than they may be because obviously they're in college or they're around college age. So perhaps they were only in grade. Maybe they weren't even in school. Maybe they were young. Maybe they weren't around. Maybe, well, obviously they're around, but like maybe they were just too young to register, that sort of thing. But it's little things like that that help shape mindsets and ideologies where today's generation has never faced any sort of not like any sort of major discrimination or major conflict, or we've never been through a war. We've never actually dealt with anything very serious. The most serious thing that even me, as in my generation, has dealt with was 9/11. And that didn't even directly affect me personally, but it was a very dramatic event that influenced the way that I looked at the world. And therefore, the longer that it goes without any direct physical conflict or any serious events happening, the more people will become accustomed to feeling as though that way of life is just the normal way of life. But at a lot of places within the globe or the world, however you want to describe it, maybe you're a flat earther, we'll get into that later, they still deal with a large amount of discrimination, a large amount of violence, a large amount of negative situations that they deal with on a daily basis, and we don't have that perspective. And so we start to complain and make up excuses for why we're oppressed and why you should care about our problems. But in reality, we live in an amazing society that offers us the best of the best. We couldn't get any better if we tried. I offer the question to anybody out there. Please tell me, what is where in the world is better than the United States? I live in Canada. Canada's pretty good, but we're not afforded the same freedoms as citizens of the United States are, such as having the right to free speech, having speech protected. We don't have protected speech, which is a pretty big thing. I need to watch what I say when I conduct these discussions. We do take civil liberties, and we do take things of that nature very seriously, and we try to protect minority classes and people who are affected by negative situations very seriously. But on another hand, sometimes it can go too far. We have no Second Amendment as well. So as citizens, we do not have the right to own or bear arms in order to create a civilian militia if the government decided to say, hey, we don't like what you're doing and we're going to become a crazy dictatorship. Us as Canadians would just have to say, okay, I guess that's what's happening. And it's not a good situation in my mind with that. But that's the very last resort of anything. I would never promote violence, and I would never want anything to get to that level. with that being said, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. I just wanted to start off the discussion and get people out there thinking about this, because this is going to be an ongoing thing for the next year or so. We'll be having lots of live streams, lots of discussions, and getting other people involved. If you enjoy the streams, make sure that you share them with your friends. Tell other people that you think would be interested in getting involved in a discussion. I want to make the chat and the stream a place where we come together and discuss how they're feeling and what's going on. We're going to be researching a lot of different things, a lot of different topics, a lot of political things, but also I'm going to be starting a late night show where we discuss what is going on within the paranormal realm of the world, because I've talked about this before. I'm very into conspiracies and paranormal events. I just have a firm interest in that. I don't necessarily believe them all, but I think that they're very interesting to listen to, and therefore I think that it would be a good thing to to discuss with different people, and I think that it would bring in a larger crowd of people that not necessarily a larger crowd, but a different type of crowd than just the political sphere. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, keep your eyes and ears open for those streams. They will be much later at night, perhaps 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific. So a little bit later at night, but still worth checking out, and we'll be discussing so many topics. If you have anything that you would like to discuss, you can always send me ideas and send me discussions, send me topics, send me videos, send me anything that you have on your mind at the.opendebate at once again, the.opendebate321 at gmail.com. You can reach me there anytime. I will always get an email. If you send it to me, it goes directly to my phone, so I definitely get that message. So I am going to be looking into opening up a Discord, because I feel as though that would be a really good way to get viewers to interact with the stream. We can have discussions. You can come on and we can have debates. If you have something that you would like to discuss, send me a message once again over the.opendebate321 at gmail.com. Tell me what you'd like to discuss. Let me know your Discord name, and I'll be putting up the link to the Discord in the next stream that I put out. We can all join up. We can have discussions. We can talk. You can come on, and it's the same as pretty much having like Google Hangouts, how you can come right on the stream and we can have a good debate. Anybody that's out there and that wants to get in on that. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Yeah, guys, it was really cool hanging out for the evening. I'm going to be doing a lot more streams like this in the future. If you want to check them out, make sure that you subscribe and click that notification bell, because the only way to get the notifications apparently throughout YouTube is to click the bell. And the way that we will be doing things for the near future will be through live streams. Let me know in the comments below and in the chat whether or not you appreciate this type of format, or if you would rather me be making straight videos. I think that this is a little bit better because we can discuss things in real time as well as in retrospect. So with that being said, my name's Elder. Be your own hero, kids.